Hey everybody, welcome to another DW Plays video. This time I'm taking a look at a game called Balls of Steel, which is a pinball game developed by Wildfire Studios and published by 3D Realms under their Pinball Wizards label. And it released in 1997. It was also the only game that 3D Realms published under the Pinball Wizards label, so kind of a pointless label. But anyway, it did have a kind of neat feature for the time, which was the ability to upload your highest scores to the World Scores server. And when you did that, you could compare your scores to players from all over the world, which was pretty neat for 1997. Obviously kind of mundane these days, but for its time, that was a pretty neat feature. And obviously that feature was discontinued a long time ago. You can't upload your scores to the servers anymore. I don't even think the server's still around. But suffice to say, you can still play the games themselves because, well, it's a single-player only pinball game, so not really anything that requires an online connection, and there certainly wasn't going to be a game in 1997 that wasn't, say, an MMO like, I don't know, Ultima Online or something like that, that was going to be always online and require you to connect to the internet just to play it regardless. It had to either be a dedicated online game, or it would be a game like this that had some sort of online feature, and the online feature was completely optional. Anyway, the game was pretty decently received for its time, but there is only one thing about it that's really noteworthy, and I'll show you that in a moment. The thing is that I need to get through the history of this game first. You see, the original release was in 97, and obviously that was a Windows 95 and 98 exclusive game, so it doesn't play nicely with modern operating systems. Thankfully, 3D Realms remastered the game of sorts, or at the very least, re-released it with a few compatibility updates in, I believe, 2014, as part of the 3D Realms Anthology, and it was also re-released on GOG. The version you're looking at right now is the GOG version. So this is the same as the original game, it's just updated to work on modern operating systems. There are still some odd glitches here and there. The biggest one is that the game will run way too fast. If it comes up, then I'll show what to do with it. But the simple fix for that is if the game is running way too fast, you just quit out of the table and then just jump right back into it, and now it's working at the appropriate speed. It's one of those weird compatibility issues that they didn't quite fix with the update, but for the most part, this works fine. Now that said, if you try to pick up Balls of Steel these days, you will find that the only place you can get it, at least digitally, is on Steam, and that version is not the same as what you're seeing right now. That includes 2 extra pinball tables that were put in under Atari's supervision. They're the ones who actually published the 2024 re-release, and that was developed by Big Boat Interactive. So it's got 2 new tables in it, and the 5th table that I will be showing you in this was replaced with one that was technically an add-on to the original version. It's kind of weird. There was a Devil's Island table that was later re-released as a kind of standalone table. They include that instead of the 5th table that I'll show you here. So let's just go through the tables real quick, and you can see why the last table will be the big draw here. So you got Firestorm, you've got Mutation, Barbarian, and Dark Side, all of which are pretty generic tables that are, I mean, they're fine. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just they're not especially interesting. They're not especially difficult. You get at least 4 tables here, but then there's the 5th table, which is the Duke Nukem table, and that's the reason why anybody actually played this thing. When this game released, it was a year after Duke 3D released. Duke 3D was a huge hit. Obviously, having a Duke Nukem themed pinball table was going to be a fairly big draw here. So we're going to go ahead and just jump in. Now, something to note is that while this does have some music from Duke 3D, but with a different MIDI pattern and such, and it does have Duke quotes, It's not quite as raunchy as Duke 3D would get. I mean, this game released to the T rating from the ESRB. It's pretty toned down in comparison to Duke 3D. So, we're just going to go ahead and jump in. And we'll see if it's running too fast or not. If it is, then I will show you how to fix that.
Duke's on the ball.
And yep, it is. It's running too fast.
Not this time.
So as you can see, it's definitely running way too fast right now. So the way you fix that, you just escape out of that, go right back in, and this should be, or not. Okay, never mind. It's going to be a bit stubborn. Let me try this again here. Okay, now I think it's running properly. Yep, now it's running properly. Okay. Sometimes it takes a couple of tries. It's a weird quirk of compatibility, but we're playing on the arcade difficulty, which means I get 3 balls, and then if I manage to get enough score, then I will get additional ones. The regular mode, you get 5, so it's quite easy in regular mode, but we're going to go ahead and just mess around with this. And you will see that there's not a whole lot going on with this table. I mean, it does have the music playing is a rendition of Stalker from E1M1 of Duke 3D. It does have John St. John doing Duke quotes, which is always fun. And it has Duke sound effects and such. It's neat, but it's not exactly something that people would be lining up around the block to get, so to speak. And apparently I'm going to just do absolutely terrible here right now. But, it does get repetitive. I mean, it is a pinball game, obviously. So if you like pinball, then you'll probably like this. Especially if you like Duke 3D. But, obviously, if you are picking up the 2024 re-release, that it doesn't have this table. And I don't have the 2024 re-release. Oh, I think I just failed miserably there. Yep, game over. Well, there you go, folks. That's Balls of Steel. It's a fairly unremarkable pinball game for its time. It's not bad, not by any stretch of the imagination. If you like pinball, you will probably like this game. But the only major draw to it was the Duke 3D pinball table. And the version that's available on Steam right now doesn't have this table, unfortunately. It does have 2 extra tables, and it has the Devil's Island table that was released as standalone and actually included in it. But it doesn't have the main draw, and that's because that's all wrapped up in Gearbox, from what I understand. They own the rights to the Duke 3D franchise, and they're just not doing anything with it, which is annoying as hell, because Duke deserves far better than that. At any rate, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you all in later videos.